Over the past few weeks, a lot of people like reached out to me and was asking me a lot of questions when it comes to like sales advice and stuff like that when it comes to like running your clothing brand. So what I did was I just took like all of the like quality questions just so I can give you guys like quality answers for somebody that's been doing it for like 8 years. And not only that, I'm gonna give you like my key takeaways of like being a brand owner, having actual skin in the game in this for 8 years, and just give you my perspective when it comes to sales with your clothing brand. The first key takeaway is very simple. If you want more sales, then just be simply the best in your niche, right? When we look at the NBA right now, like who's the best basketball player in the NBA? LeBron James. 90% of people are going to say LeBron James. But if I ask you who's the 10th best or who's the 15th best, you don't know, nor do you care. And that's exactly how the marketplace is when it comes to running business and when it comes to running your brand. When you look at the niche that you're in, you got to ask yourself, do I have enough money, resources, and capital to actually be the best in this lane? And if you don't, either you're going to sit in a gap in between, like basically like a ditch for a very long time to get to that end goal, right? By the end goal, you have enough money, resources, and capital to be the number one person, or simply it's going to take too long and it's simply impossible, no matter if you had 100 million, to be number one in that space. And then that's when we got to go sub niche down and go find a new lane to be in. I'd rather have you quit the brand that you got right now, make a new brand where you can be number one at, rather than just sticking with something for 10, 15 years and then you just become 10, 15th and you just stuck at 20th best, and all you're doing is just grabbing all the bottom feeders and you're never getting to that top piece of the pie. And the reason why I say that this is one of my biggest key takeaways when it comes to sales with your clothing brand is simply due to the simple fact is that the market always runs to the best player. It's not about who has the best designs. It's not about who has the best infrastructure. It's all about who is number one. And if you're number one, then 90% of the market will always run to you. So my second takeaway is to raise the sales with your brand, raise the perceived value. So basically, you got to remember something, that everything when it comes to a physical product is nothing but perceived as valuable, right? If Supreme was inside of Kmart right now or inside of Walmart, it wouldn't be perceived as valuable as it is. But all this is nothing but a perception, and perception creates reality. So now it starts coming into the questions, well, how can we turn shit and turn it into sugar? And the easiest way to do that is by upping our perception, but that comes into our first impression. It has to be meaningful. You know, the quality of our clothing has to be meaningful, the designs, the creed, what it's about. We got to build out this community, even if you only have 50 to 100 people. Like every single brand that you look up to was exactly where you are at right now. Every single brand owner. I don't care if you starting off today. All of us started at one day. You know what I'm saying? So, but now you always got to remember when it comes to bringing out that perceived value of your brand, it really comes down to the point of like thinking long term, like 5-10 years out. And if you really got a vision for the brand that you got, which I'm assuming that you are, what does year 10 look like with your brand? So let's just take year 10 and then just implement everything that you see far out on year 10 right now, like today. So what does the products look like? Is there a line outside for your pop-up shops? Why is there a line? How did that line get created? Obviously because people value your product. So what does the product look like? What is it speaking to them? How's the quality of the product? So then once you get the answers to all of those things, that's when you see yourself start climbing up the hierarchy, and then that's when sales become easier for you. So I'm a big believer, like once you add influence to your perception of how other people view your brand, and once you make that influence high, right, with reciprocation and commitment and consistency, and when it comes down to authority and social proof and all these things, the better you get at that, and then plus perception, that's when it just equals a glitch of sales, and everything comes a whole lot easier for you. My last takeaway when it comes to sales advice with your clothing brand is stop selling the commodity and sell the story. When you look at Supreme, when you look at Palace, when you look at my brand, when you look at all the biggest brands out there that you look up to, whether if it's a skate brand or streetwear brand, they sell the story. And the story can go from the graphics to the highlight reels that they have, down to their TikToks, you know, to their YouTube videos, skate videos. All of that is storytelling, like baker videos, like skating videos and all that stuff. That's all storytelling. So with me, I think a lot of people, they mess up because they come into this and they're trying to just sell the garment that nobody knows, nobody likes, and nobody trusts. And they try to just keep selling the product, like buy my beanie just because it says Lord knows on it. And you got to put things in real perspective. The average human being is seeing 200 advertisements a day. So why should somebody stop, like, and buy your shit that they have no knowing about? You know what I'm saying? Even if they see your ad or whatever it may be, why should somebody stop to buy that? You can have all the answers that you want, but at the same time, if there's no likability, if there's no trust, there's no community there, and if you're not climbing up this little hierarchy, right, to build that out, you're always going to be struggling for sales. I see a lot of people on TikTok, they always try to sell the commodity of the garment when they should just be doing the opposite. They should be selling the story of what was the reasoning of making this garment? What was the reasoning of making a brand like Lord Knows? What is the why behind Lord Knows? Why should people want to join Lord Knows? Who is Lord Knows even for? Once you start making content like that, that will have people to buy in, because like I always say, people want to be a part of something. Nobody wants to be left out. When you look at religion, when you look at politics, all that stuff is like everybody wants to be a part of something. So even when it comes down to a clothing brand, and even a clothing brand that you have even bought into, there's a culture behind it. Like, you want to be a part of that. You know what I'm saying? So that's how you got to start looking at your brand. So rather than just trying to sell the shirt and you're being like the masses and you're just throwing it up there and then you hoping and praying that somebody buys, why don't you just start selling the story? Who are you? What made you start this brand? And the person that I've seen do this the best is Trico. When it comes to TikTok, he did it absolutely the best. He sold the story, the brand that's for game changers, the t-shirts that's for people that's trying to make change in this world. I don't know this kid, but the way that he marketed that is the perfect example of selling a story. With that being said, let's get into all the questions that you guys sent over to me in my DM when it comes to sales advice for your clothing brand. The first question is, my brand has not been selling. Why do you think that is? When your brand isn't selling, it really comes down to three things. It's either the person, it's either the product, or it's either the price. Always remember that. I don't care what anybody says. Always remember that. If you're not getting sales with your clothing brand, it's either you're targeting to the wrong person, it's either the product nobody wants, or it's either the price is a little probably too high and it's out of your customer avatar's range. Yeah, next up, what is the most you ever made from a drop and why was it so successful? The most I ever made from a drop was probably around like 60-ish, 70-ish $1,000. I'm very transparent. I keep it 100. And the reason why that one was so successful is due to the fact that I hyped it up the right way. I had an authority figure in my brand. You know, I stayed committed and consistent when it came to like publishing everything on the right platforms at the right time. And truthfully, I think that it was super unique to the market on what I did, like, because I used the animal inside of my lookbook. It was a collection that's on my Instagram page. It's called Satan's Kingdom. And I had my friend that raps with Suicide Boys. He's part of G59. His name is Jay Cheddar. And we rented out like a bunch of doves. And I had him like around like all these doves, and I wanted like a red backdrop, him wearing a red t-shirt, and everything just came out like super dope. Him being an authority figure as well within my space, he pushed it out for me a lot, and I did crazy numbers that drop, and I'm super thankful for that. But I think the reason why that like everything went so great is because, just like what I just said, when you look at the 4 pillars of running a brand, when it comes to the marketing, the sales, the production, and design, all of those things was literally in sync. Those things were in true alignment, and I think the reflection of that was the sales that we got from that drop. The next question that I got, how would you set up your IG page on hype releases to get people to buy? One thing about me, the whole key of selling is not selling at all, right? So I get that type of question asked to me all the time. It's really simple. You don't want to be a scrappy kitten. You know, Sam Walton talked about this a lot in Made in America in his book. When he used to go look at other competitors, they would always put stuff on sale, on discount, and they always were just too pushy to the customer. And it's almost like a scrappy kitten, you know, like if a scrappy kitten is always scratching you, you want to kind of like push it away from you. And that's how a lot of people are when it comes to promoting their products and their brands that nobody even knows, trusts, or even likes. So my whole thing is, how can we sell without really selling? And the best way to do that is by just letting people know that you're here. If you guys go look on my Instagram profile, I do not sell to anybody. All I just say is new products will be available at this time, at this date, at this website. And I always leave the power in the customer's hand, because you always got to remember that the customer always wants to hold that power in his hand. And then that's why he goes on that exploration. And now he's curious about the brand that he does like, because he obviously follows you, right? And then he goes down to exploration looking at the products that suit him and fit him the best. And then that's how you get sales effortlessly. So my whole thing is, once you build out this community, once you build out your why, your creed, and everything like that, why don't we just start selling without selling? So we just do the best that we can, and we just let people know that we're here. So even when we do a drop on emails and SMS and even going organic, and then even when you want to even do a follow-up, then we can hit them with some scarcity. Products will be available for only 48 hours at this website, and it's closing on this date. That's it. And you just let people just know that you're just here. Because once you do that, now everybody's going to bring that curiosity over, because you're not being that scrappy kitten always trying to get a piece of their attention. You know what I mean? The second to last question that I got was, does the quality quality of the site matter when it comes to selling your clothing brand? And me personally, it's like a yes and it's like a no. You know, you got to get very clear on who you're talking to and who your audience is. If you're selling $20 t-shirts to a bunch of Republican people, you know, maybe you might want to make the quality better. But if you're selling, I don't know, like some elephant lover brand, I mean, you might make it halfway decent, but my whole thing is if the product market fit is there, it doesn't care what the quality of the site is, people are going to buy. I've seen people that have such a quality product market fit when it comes to the designs of their brand, everything like that. They have the most simplest website ever and it goes crazy. And then I've seen people that are trying to get product market fit and nobody really wants their brand or really wants their products, and then they go spend thousands of dollars on a website and it's still not even converting as good as like this person that just has product market fit and he just glitching with sales, you know what I mean? But now that leads me to my last question, which is when should I make my collection bigger? And with this question, it can go so many different ways. Me personally, I'm a big believer that less is always more, and you never want to bring too much chaos to the customer. And people be like, well, what do you mean by that? And what I mean is everybody has an ADHD brain. Like we're competing with goldfish for attention. So if you overwhelm the customer and make it kind of chaotic for them because there's so many different products, they're not going to buy nothing at all. Then they're going to bounce. So my whole thing is like, why don't we just do small capsules of 2 to 4 items, if that even? But if you're starting out, just 1 item, and then it's like you sell out of that, then go 2. You sell out of 2 at the same time, then go 3, then go 4. But rather than just coming in and just going big at once, that can kind of like scare somebody and just make them like want to just leave the website and not buy at all. So when it comes to when should I make my collection bigger, me personally, I'm a big believer that less is always more. Even if you do become one of the biggest brands in your space or in your niche or whatever audience pool you're serving to, I'm not going super wide. Rather than having a whole bunch of trailer parks that only grow as high as a trailer park, I'd rather just double down on 3 to 4 things and build Eiffel Towers with that. That's personally me. So it really just comes down to where you at on the growth with your brand. But if you're just starting out, me personally, I'm only putting out 1 to 2 pieces until I built that demand and that product market fit for my brand and for the products that I'm giving out. And then that's when I'll start widening it out and then doing small capsules and then making a lot of money off of that. And then I'm just taking that money and then reinvesting it back into my brand. So with that being said, if you like this content, I'm not trying to be that YouTube guy that's like, oh, please comment, like, subscribe, but show your boy some love. You know, we have a free course in the link. Not only that, if you want to see how I went from $0 to $100,000 in under 18 months, is in the link below. But like I said, Machiavelli is out. I'll see y'all in the next video. Peace.